From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
The latest on the Trump impeachment inquiry, including an important vote happening tonight, an explainer on the impeachment process, and what Arizonans like you think about all of this.
Plus, activists with the Uncage and Reunite Families Coalition demanding answers on how migrant children are treated in detention centers.
And tornadoes in Arizona, they may happen more than you think. We'll tell you how often and how experts confirm when one actually touches down in the desert.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Madison LaBerge.
And I'm Daria Yasmin. Our big story today, the controversial call at the center of the Trump impeachment inquiry.
According to a transcript released today by the White House, President Trump asked Ukraine's president to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
Some call the transcript a smoking gun, but others say it's much ado about nothing.
The White House releasing what they classified as not a verbatim transcript of the July 25th call between Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart. In the transcript, Trump repeatedly asked President Zelensky to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son, and to work with his personal attorney.
The transcript was released one day after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced a formal impeachment inquiry against Trump. House GOP leadership sharply critical of the Speaker, while some Democrats report marks our turning point.
Speaker Pelosi happens to be the Speaker of this House, but she does not speak for America when it comes to this issue.
I do see this as the most serious misconduct of the president thus far, and that comes after a long history of other very serious misconduct.
President Trump has classified his conversation on that July phone call as perfect, and that this impeachment inquiry is a witch hunt. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote this evening on a resolution demanding the White House turn over the whistleblower's complaint.
Kaylee Broussard has the story live from our Washington bureau.
Yeah. You want it?
Yeah. Arizona lawmakers we talked to disagree sharply on how the latest probe will affect the Trump administration. But they did agree on one thing. Both Democrats and Republicans say the information should be out there.
Today's House vote comes just one day after the Senate unanimously passed a similar resolution demanding the complaint from an anonymous whistleblower in the intelligence community. Tucson Congressman Raul Grijalva says he takes no joy in House leadership's impeachment inquiry, but he says the president should answer for his call to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Once the complaint is in front of us, then I think the conclusions start to be made. And I think for the American people, it needs to be out in public so that everybody can start reaching conclusions like some of us have reached.
Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, a Republican representing Peoria, says she believes both Democrats and Republicans can get behind the full complaint's release. She's not sure, though, if Democrats have a strong enough case to impeach the president.
They just hate President Trump so much that they're trying to find anything. They're trying to get the media buzz going on, and they were successful at that. I think it's going to backfire on them, though.
Grijalva says that's a risk Democrats are willing to take to hold Trump accountable.
This was an attack on the institutions. This was the attack on the separation of powers. And it touched a nerve that crossed across all the lines, and that was national security.
For his part, Trump continues to insist that he's done nothing wrong, and he chalks up the latest investigation to the witch hunt he says Democrats have pursued since he took office.
The House voted just a few minutes ago, voting 421-0 to approve the resolution and demand the report. The vote comes just one day before the Director of National Intelligence is scheduled to testify to the House Intelligence Committee on the whistleblower report. In Washington, Kaylee Broussard, Cronkite News.
We've only had two presidents impeached, Andrew Johnson 15 decades ago and Bill Clinton in 1998. So here's a refresher on how the impeachment process actually works. First, impeachment does not necessarily mean removal from office, but impeachment is an indictment involving a serious misconduct charge. The Constitution defines these as treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. The House of Representatives starts the impeachment process with an inquiry. That's what Nancy Pelosi just announced. Next, the House Judiciary Committee sends a resolution explaining why impeachment is justified. The House then debates and votes on the resolution. Now, if 2/3 of the House approves it, the president will be impeached. But even after this vote, the president is not necessarily removed from office. Instead, the president would first face trial in the Senate, where the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would act as the judge. That Chief Justice is John Roberts, who generally leans conservative. The senators act as the jury, but it takes 2/3 of the Senate to agree before the president can be convicted and removed from office. Bill Clinton's impeachment took just 72 days before it went to the Senate, where he was acquitted in 1999.
Huge debate online. Yesterday, we asked you, do you support Congress moving forward with the impeachment inquiry into President Trump's actions? Why or why not? Deb replied, yes, 45 has broken laws and must be held accountable. No one, not even POTUS, is above the law. Adonia disagrees, saying Democrats want to impeach a president that wants to investigate a crime so we can elect the person who committed a crime. A whole new level of stupidity. Matt says, yes, he heads a criminal enterprise from the Oval Office. This is long overdue. And Lucina responding in part, absolutely not. Democrats have never let him govern since day one. It's not too late to join the conversation. Just head to our Cronkite News Facebook page to chime in. And for continuing coverage on the impeachment inquiry, find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The widow of late Senator John McCain told podcast host the Republican Party is no longer, quote, the party my husband and I belong to. Cindy McCain told Politico's Women Rule podcast that the Republican Party was excluding people for the wrong reasons. When asked if Democrats have a chance to turn Arizona blue, McCain said she can really see it happening in 2020. Her late husband, Republican Senator John McCain, was known for occasionally bucking party lines and was a vocal critic of President Donald Trump.
A little less than a month ago, Cronkite News went to Yuma to speak with members of a Migrant Advocacy Coalition who alleged abuse on behalf of Border Patrol agents towards detained migrant children. Now the same coalition is voicing their opinions against another agency, the Arizona Department of Health Services, and their connection to private companies that are contracted to house migrant children. Cronkite News reporter Marcela Baedo was there and tells us about what they said. Marcela?
Uncage and Reunite Families Coalition took to the Arizona State Capitol today to announce their list of concerns against the Arizona Department of Health Services in regards to their state licensing for privately owned detention centers.
How many children are being traumatized?
A question activists with the Uncage and Reunite Families Coalition are asking the Arizona Department of Health Services, who they say refuses to provide this kind of basic information to the public. One of the most well-known private operators is Southwest Key, with 8 centers in Arizona.
Texas-based Southwest Key operates the largest number of private shelters, not only in Arizona, but in the entire country.
Lori Rosales, a retired AZDHS employee, agrees with the coalition's stance to push the department to have better oversight over the treatment of migrant children at these privately owned centers.
They need to vet better the people they bring on board so that there isn't the physical, emotional, sexual abuse that they've been condemned for.
On their website, Southwest Key explains the process for vetting and hiring new staff. Southwest Key conducts thorough background checks of all prospective employees who apply to work in our shelters and complies with all required background checks and fingerprinting laws in each state in which our unaccompanied minor shelters operate. On the AZDHS site, one can find reports documenting some of the citations Southwest Key has received in the past few years. Infractions range from not administering medication properly to not having on-call staff. We also reached out to Southwest Key, who responded they need more time to clarify what exactly the allegations made by the coalition entail before they can comment publicly. Now, for the Arizona Department of Health Services, they were not able to send over a response in time for this broadcast, but Southwest Keys just sent in and emailed us this statement that says, we have worked closely with ADHS to ensure our policies, procedures, and physical environments fully comply with the state's licensing requirements and have demonstrated that compliance by successfully completing full on-site audits at all of our licensed facilities. We immediately self-report any incident in our shelters and work cooperatively with all regulatory bodies to ensure corrective action is taken when needed. Live in the control room, Marcelo Bayeto, Cronkite News.
After denying his resignation, Tempe Union High School District has begun the termination process for Justin Hager, the former Mountain Point High School girls basketball coach and football assistant coach, who allegedly leaked strategic information to opposing teams.
Reporter Anthony Tautry, who has been following the story since last week, spoke with the executive director of Arizona Interscholastic Association this morning.
Anthony, what were you able to gather after meeting with the AIA?
Well, Daria, the Arizona Interscholastic Association lacks jurisdiction over personnel matters, so the association has asked the schools that are thought to have received these emails to conduct their own internal investigations. According to AIA Executive Director David Hines, at this point, some of the schools that may have received leaked information have begun to turn in reports to the AIA. As the schools conduct their internal investigations, they are required to report any potential violations back to the association. Allegedly, the information was leaked to schools both in-state and out of state. The AIA's rules say that if any violations are found and punishment needs to be sent down, it affects the program as a whole. As of now, there has not been a confirmed motive. With that said, emails have been found linked to the coach that reveal a little bit more as to why he allegedly leaked the information.
We see in emails that he had some feelings on who should be hired or potentially be hired, or getting recognition for some of his own teams in emails that we saw that he wrote that pretended to be someone else. Those are all concerning. When a trusted coach is betraying them and their trust, that's just inexcusable. And it's a situation, and the Tempe district has swiftly handled what they're able to do from their end. It's just unfortunate that it ever got to that point.
Hines said the AIA's executive board will address the situation in mid-October once the internal investigations have wrapped up. But I was told by a member of the AIA to, quote, hang on to my hat, that this thing is just getting started. In the broadcast center, Anthony Tautry, Cronkite News.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, the world's oceans are in danger, according to a new climate change report. But there's a glimmer of hope. We'll tell you what it is right after the break.
And tornado touchdown. After this week's wild weather, we'll break down how these Midwest phenomenons happen here in the desert.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Cronkite Noticias is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
The latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report is out today and reveals how climate change is impacting our oceans. The report finds ice is melting faster, the sea level is rising, and oceans are warming. Scientists say there are now heat waves in the ocean and that it's bad for sea life as well as for our fishing industry. But there's a glimmer of hope in this report. Overwhelming scientific evidence that the ocean can be a source in stabilizing the climate and building a secure future for everyone. The IPCC is a part of the United Nations in assessing the science related to climate change.
Earlier this week, the National Weather Service reported 2 tornadoes touched down here in Arizona.
They were rated low on the scale, but damage was done to some mobile homes near Wilcox.
Cronkite News reporter Jordan Evans explains this Midwest phenomenon and how it happened right here in our state.
Tornadoes are a rare occurrence here in Arizona, but they do happen. Take a look at this video shot of the tornado in New River on Monday. The National Weather Service classified this tornado as an EF0, meaning winds were up to 85 miles per hour. The state averages nearly 4 per year, but the state has seen about 247 tornadoes since 1950. So nobody really knows the true wind speeds at ground level of a tornado, but those are all estimated by the amount of damage that is done. So let's take a tornado, for example. Now, tornadoes are only classified as a tornado when they touch the ground. If they're standing up in the sky still, then they are classified as funnel clouds. But like we saw in New River and Wilcox earlier this week, those tornadoes made it all the way down to the ground. Now let's talk about the scale that they're rated on, and that is called the Enhanced Fujita scale, ranging from EF0 to an EF5. An EF0 is not a lot of damage, maybe some shingles tossed off the roof or maybe a tree snapped over. By the time you get to EF3, that can loft cars up into the air, and by the time you get to an EF5 tornado, those are where homes get completely leveled and ripped off of their foundations. Now, the National Weather Service looks for patterns in these tornadoes and the damage that's done, such as the direction that trees are snapped down, or in terms of how 2x4s are pointed and the way cars get overturned. Now, the reason they do this research is because it can also help engineers improve building codes for homes and businesses in tornado-prone areas. Live in the Broadcast Center, Jordan Evans, Cronkite News.
Up next, the touching story of how Phoenix Suns player is helping with hurricane relief efforts in his hometown. Don't go away.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
A Phoenix Suns star player is giving back to his home in wake of Hurricane Dorian's devastation.
Cronkite sports reporter Claudia Faust has more on how DeAndre Ayton is making a difference. Claudia?
Nassau native and Phoenix Suns center DeAndre Ayton has pledged to raise $100,000 for Hurricane Dorian relief efforts. He held an event earlier this month at a local Fry's, and just this past Monday, he teamed up with Ocean 44 in Scottsdale, all to help the country he once called home.
Growing up and surviving a hurricane, it's nothing you really can bounce back. You don't have nothing when it passes by, and it's just a lot to really take in. It's overwhelming, and the first thing I can possibly do is just help. I'm from there, and I kept an eye on that hurricane the whole time, knowing what it's capable of and what it did. So just having all the support from the Valley and my teammates is unbelievable.
It's been over 3 weeks since Hurricane Dorian devastated the Bahamas. According to CNN, around 1,300 people are still missing, and 50 people have been claimed dead in the wake of the natural disaster. The island sustained wind speeds over 185 miles per hour for over 48 hours. 100% of the proceeds from Monday night's dinner went straight to the people of the Bahamas through UNICEF. If you want to help on Aiton's mission, head to sons.com/relief. In the Media Center, Claudia Faust, Cronkite News.
If you've been waiting for a delivery clown to come into your life, look no further. Hertz Donut Company in Tempe is bringing back a special promotion just in time for Halloween. Starting this week, when you order a dozen donuts, you now have the option of getting the fresh batch delivered by a real clown. Although the promotion isn't new, the price of the special clown delivery has been bumped up to $50 from last year. Now, Quentin, is it going to be cloudy with a chance of donuts in the newsroom?
You know, this past week, our weather has been a three-ring circus, to say the least. We've had lightning, hail, a tornado, as Dorothy would put it. I don't think we're in Arizona anymore.
Well, there's no place like home. So what's the weather look like for the rest of our week?
Well, right now we're experiencing some pretty rough showers going on down in Yuma here. We have some rough thunderstorms tearing its way across the southern western portion of the state. We're in the red zone here, as well as a flash flood warning that is in effect tonight until 8 p.m. Taking a look at the rest of the state, we have some showers coming around from Tucson, moving up towards the Phoenix Valley area. That's going to move out towards the west by California, but we're still going to be seeing some of those storms and showers as we move into tomorrow. Taking a look, once again, we have a flash flood warning going on right now, and then an alert down in Yuma. So if you're taking a walk or a drive, make sure you're going somewhere with not too much low elevation. Taking a look at your temperatures right now, 87 in Phoenix, not too bad. 91 in Bullhead City, 86 in Page, 66 in Flagstaff. Not too bad, pretty good weather. Looking at your lows for tomorrow, here's where it gets interesting. We are down in the 50s here. Some of these temperatures as low as my high school test score, 71 in Phoenix, 51 in Prescott. And then we've got some 60s down around the bottom portion of the state. Not yet time to crank out the Christmas music, but we're getting there. High temperatures for tomorrow, 84 in Phoenix, 80s across the board. Looking at your day planner going to 6 p.m., a little bit of chance for showers, but not too bad. With your weather, I'm Quentin Walker, back to you.
Thank you, Quentin. Coming up after the break, PE for parents?
Well, we'll find out how some moms and dads are getting schooled on living healthier lifestyles.
Welcome to another edition of Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Taylor Rocha. Let's talk sports.
For the latest on local sports and beyond, we've got you covered.
Let's do this thing.
We challenge reporters to go beyond, a game story. We want stories with depth.
It's just a crucial step from the college experience into the professional experience while you're still in school.
At Cronkite Sports Now, watch the journalists of tomorrow cover sports today.
As sure as night is dark and day is light, I keep you on my mind both day and night.
The song came from my mother's fear. You're going out on the road and these girls are coming up to you, and he wrote, I walk the line. I'm going to stay true to you.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Kyrene de los Cerritos Elementary School in Ahwatukee is in the middle of its Take Your Parent to PE Week.
Cronkite News reporter Mariah Gallegos spoke to parents and their kids about why they're hitting the school gym together. Mariah?
This Arizona school wants to set a standard for families who want to live a healthier lifestyle by creating these positive habits early on in life.
Moms, dads, grandmas, and grandpas all joining the younger members of the family as part of a healthy movement called Take Your Parent to PE Week.
Any time that we have the opportunity to come and spend time with the kids in the classroom or in a special setting like PE, it is a great opportunity to spend time together and share their school experience, and why not do a little exercise together?
Sylvia Masenik was one of more than 15 relatives who worked up a sweat trying to keep up with her first grade son.
It helps exercise our body
and it makes our body stronger.
Her son Sawyer says he knew his mom was going to be there, but it still made him happy to work out together. The idea is to have the adults join in on the PE classes, motivating them to practice healthy habits at home.
It's a great opportunity. It's really great that the school is trying to get the parents involved and help kids to see the importance of physical activity and not just in PE class.
And parents also learned there's more to PE than just exercising.
I love that they're doing and enjoying physical activity, that they're learning how to play together, how to incorporate some of these activities out of the playground, and how they're learning to include more friends and share fun things that are so good for them and their body.
This is the third annual Take Your Parents to PE Week at the school. Kyrene de los Cerritos is just one of the schools around the U.S. that have joined in on the movement. In the studio, Mariah Gallegos, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, the state continues to have a teacher shortage, that despite greater teacher pay, and what the business community would like to see in terms of criminal justice reform. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm William Brangham. On the next NewsHour, Power and Prosperity. Join us as we kick off a 10-part series on China. That's Wednesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.